Hello, I'm Holly Lindley, and I'm here with Chris Franklin. And Chris was the lead author for the 2007 report from the American Statistical Association called the Guidelines for Assessment and Instruction in Statistics Education. This is often referred to as the GAISE report. The GAISE framework that was integrated into that document really used the four phases of a statistical investigation: pose, collect, analyze, interpret, and it really laid out the developmental levels of what one can expect someone at level A, level B, and level C to be able to do within each of those phases. So could you talk a little bit about why this report was developed and why you took so much time putting that framework together?
You want the short version?
The short version, yes.
Well, actually what happened is that I think we in statistics education felt like we were making a lot of momentum in terms of statistics education being infused at K through 12. Most particularly when AP Statistics came on board in the late 1990s. And then, of course, in 2000, NCTM published their Principles and Standards for School Mathematics. And what was fabulous for those of us in statistics education is we had our own strand, which was data analysis and probability. So I think that many of us felt like that what with the popularity of AP Statistics growing as well as with NCTM, that we were well on our way to really seeing statistics integrated at K through 12. Actually, I think what happened was a couple of things where the momentum started dying down a bit for K through 12. One reason, I think, is because AP Statistics was becoming so popular that a lot of states as well as school districts took the approach, well, we'll just emphasize statistics at the high school level. We have AP Statistics now. This is a great course. But I think the other reason, which went along with that, is that people were really confused and struggling with how to interpret the data analysis and probability strand that was in the NCTM standards. And I think part of the reason they were having trouble interpreting those standards is that as they went from one grade level to the next, they were actually reading the same thing. They were having trouble differentiating, well, how do I teach this concept at grade 3 versus how I teach this concept at grade 8? Actually, I think the sort of light bulb moment for many of us that this document needed to be written was at a conference that was held at the University of Georgia in 2003 called the Teams Conference. And you were there, Holly, which was a great conference. But if you'll remember, Johnny Lott was our keynote speaker.
I remember that.
And Johnny Lott was president of NCTM at that time. And Johnny, in his keynote address, looked out into the audience and he said, I have a question for the statisticians. Can you please help me understand what is the difference in the mean at the elementary level versus the middle school level versus the high school level? He said, when I look at the NCTM standards, I'm seeing that you need to teach the mean at all of these different levels. But I don't understand what's the difference.
Very valid question.
Very valid question. And in a few minutes, we're going to look at how we ended up resolving that, at least hopefully in this document we did. But that was a light bulb moment for us to realize that was part of a big reason for people holding back on infusing statistics into their K through 12 standards, is they were having trouble understanding how to interpret the evolution of these standards at the different levels. We also realized that people were having trouble understanding how to go beyond just analyzing data. That traditionally what statistics had been taught at K through 12 was where you were given a data set, you created a graph, you calculated some numerical summaries.
You were done.
And you were done. You were done. And that's not what statistics is about, as you hopefully all well know. It's about developing a statistical question that needs to be answered by collecting data, and then you analyze the data, and then you try to interpret the results back to the original question. In fact, the analysis of the data is really a very small part
Right.
of what we do in statistics.
Right. But most of our curricula up to that point really was emphasizing
the analysis.
Yeah.
And so I would say these were all motivating reasons for why the American Statistical Association felt like that there needed to be a document that could complement and be a companion to the NCTM standards
Right.
to help with how concepts evolve, as well as the statistical investigative process, the posing questions, how to collect data, analyzing, as well as interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah.
If ASA had not had the vision when they did
Right.
to produce this document,
Statistics would have probably.
I'm not sure we would see any statistics
Right.
in the Common Core standards. That document was there, it was on the table.
Yeah. That's good.
And I think that that was really where we've had our biggest impact. But we've also had impacts, I think, with teacher education programs. There have been teacher education programs, even before the Common Core standards, that recognize the importance of statistics and teacher preparation. And this was the one document, besides the NCTM standards, that they were turning to.
That's right. 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 As a math teacher
That's
educator,
right.
I could go to that document and think about how I could integrate it into
Right.
my methods courses for my future teachers.
And I will say one other thing. I know that we came out with this document in 2007, and it was soon after that New Zealand started working on revising their national standards. And it was our GAISE framework document from the U.S. that they used in New Zealand to incorporate this revision of the statistics in their standards for K through 12.
Right. So
it's had an impact internationally as well.
Yeah.
So it's turned out that it's been a very useful document.
Yes.
And ASA, I think, should be very proud
Yep.
that they had the vision